Linux 6.18 is finally here. And if you've skimmed the headlines, you've probably seen the usual phrases: minor improvements, under-the-hood changes, nothing too exciting. But here's the thing: Linux 6.18 actually brings performance gains that most people aren't explaining properly, and in real-world use, they matter more than the changelogs suggest. Let's start with the big picture. Linux 6.18 isn't about flashy new features, it's about refinement. This kernel focuses heavily on scheduler efficiency, memory handling, and I/O behavior, which means the gains don't always show up as massive benchmark spikes, but you feel them in daily use. One of the most noticeable improvements comes from scheduler tuning. Task switching is slightly more efficient, especially on modern multi-core CPUs. On paper, this looks boring. In practice, it means smoother multitasking. Apps launch a bit faster, background processes interfere less, and the system feels more responsive under load. If you're compiling code, running containers, or multitasking heavily, Linux 6.18 feels calmer and more predictable. Memory management is another area where Linux 6.18 quietly shines. There are optimizations to how memory pressure is handled, especially in situations where RAM is being aggressively reclaimed. On systems with limited memory, laptops, VPS servers, or older machines, this translates to fewer sudden slowdowns and less aggressive swapping. You don't necessarily see higher numbers in benchmarks, but the system stutters less, and that's a win. Disk and I/O performance also see subtle but meaningful improvements. File operations, especially many small reads and writes, are handled more efficiently. This benefits developers, database workloads, and anyone running virtual machines or containers. Again, it's not about doubling performance, it's about shaving off inefficiencies that add up over hours of use. Now let's talk gaming and desktop use, because this is where many users ask, is it worth upgrading? For gaming, Linux 6.18 doesn't magically boost frame rates across the board, but it does improve frame consistency. Fewer micro-stutters, better CPU scheduling under load, and smoother background task handling all contribute to a more stable experience, especially on mid-range hardware. On laptops, power efficiency is slightly better as well. Background processes are managed more intelligently, which can translate to marginally better battery life. Not dramatic, but noticeable over a full day. So why isn't anyone explaining these gains properly? Because they're not dramatic. Linux 6.18 doesn't scream for attention, it just quietly improves how the system behaves when you actually use it. Bottom line, Linux 6.18 is not a revolutionary kernel, it's a maturity update. If you value stability, smoother performance, and incremental efficiency gains, it's absolutely worth upgrading in 2025. You may not see it in flashy charts, but you'll feel it every day. If you've already tried Linux 6.18, drop your experience in the comments. And if you want more honest Linux breakdowns without the hype, like and subscribe. See you in the next one.